You know my name.
This is the full story of the Stone Prisoner DLC for Dragon Age Origins. This will be a 3-part series, with this episode covering the story of the village of Honnleath. While traveling west of Redcliffe, the Grey Warden will encounter a small merchant camp occupied by a man named Felix.
Forgive me if I seem a bit nervous. Not many people travelling in this part of Ferelden. Of course, that's part of my problem, isn't it? Mule got spooked by a wisp and ran off into the woods. Now what do I do?
Part of your problem.
Well, yes. Oh, it's been quite the month. Allow me to introduce myself. Felix de Grosbois, merchant and entrepreneur at your service.
Well, I happen to be one of the Grey Wardens.
A Grey Warden? That's quite impressive, isn't it? My word. I don't normally take this route, but with the war, I was hoping for a bit of luck and good weather in the mountains. Sadly, I've had neither. Ugh, this trip has been one miserable disaster after another. I don't suppose you'd consider helping a fellow out?
Helping a fellow out how now?
Of all the other things that went wrong, the worst is this artifact I brought in Jada. It's a control rod, I'm told, for a Gollum. No point in me keeping it, however, as I'll never get to use it. But, maybe you could?
Well, what's the catch now?
The catch? Yeah, I suppose it is a catch, isn't it? The catch is that the Gollum didn't come with the rod. It's supposed to be down in a village down south, waiting to be activated. Even if I could get down there, which I can't, I understand the place has been overrun by Darkspawn. But you're a Grey Warden, however. Darkspawn aren't an issue for you, are they?
What does the control rod do exactly?
The dwarf I brought it from said it activates and controls a Gollum. So long as you have it in your hand, the Gollum does what you say. Might be useful, no? I mean, you look like the sort who could use one, yes?
Well, how much is this actually going to cost me, though?
Nothing. I just don't want to have to lug around something that might be taken for a gemstone by some bandit. To be honest, I don't even know if it'll be useful to you. I paid too much to simply throw it away.
Yes, I think I could use such a thing.
Just as well. As I mentioned before, you'll find the Gollum down south, in a town called Honnleath. I'll mark it here on your map. Just hold up the rod and say Dulaf Gar. That will wake the Gollum up, so I'm told. I hope it works.
If not, I'll be back.
Alright, well, then I really hope it works. Best of luck to you then. Now, I guess it's up to me to find that mule myself.
Well, it looks like we have a real Grey Warden crest on our hands. First we have to clear a town of Darkspawn, then we get an ancient Gollum to help us out with the Blight. Now Honnleath is a relatively small village in the south of Ferelden. One interesting fact of Honnleath, however, is that Cullen and his family are actually from Honnleath.
Sir Callum Stanton Rutherford of Honnleath, commander of the forces of the Inquisition.
Now, naturally both his and his family survived the attack. Entering the village, we can already see the impact of the invasion, and then we hear it. 3 Darkspawn emerge chasing 3 villagers fleeing the scene. We quickly dispatch of them with our Warden's talents. Moving on ahead, we encounter an even larger horde of Darkspawn, though these are all still common Hurlocks and Genlocks.
Sorry, am I too quick for you? All right. Watch in horror, I'll rip you apart. That's right, come on! Breaking a sweat already. Run while you still can.
Get on it. Now, better than later.
After dispatching of them, we can loot all the bodies. There's a chest up the hill, but it's locked, so we will get back to that shortly after. Now I'm gonna go switch ahead to my other character while fighting up the hill to encounter the main part of the horde, encountering a Hurlock Alpha. I'm switching to this character because I thought this fight was way more intense than with my ranged build. Now, as we can see, the center of the village is still relatively small. However, we can see the Gollum up in the center with a bag of birdseed to the side of it. We were investigating that shortly. As you can see, this fight can be a little bit tricky with the amount of darkspawn there are here. My suggestion though would not be dumb like me and actually deal with the alpha first, instead of charging ahead to deal with the archers, as the darkspawn archers are not particularly agile. However, finishing this fight with a few well-placed backstabs, we can now begin investigating the rest of the village before we use the activation code to hopefully activate the golem. Now, as we can see, there is a dead villager to the side here who has a key. That key is to the chest that we mentioned earlier, so we're going to go unlock that first. But investigating the area of Shale, we see the golem standing, frozen in place, expressionless. We can ask our companions what they think of it.
This is a golem, I believe. Damaged, perhaps beyond repair. There may be a way to reactivate it, though that is not necessarily wise.
Disregarding Wynn's wise advice, we can use the activation code, Dulifgar. But nothing happens. We're not sure if it's the control word or the phrase, however it seems like we may need to investigate further. However, going back to the loot first, we descend down the hill in order to open up the chest. Inside the chest, we find some strange crystals, and most importantly, Olaf's prized cheese knife, which is a tier 5 dagger. The dagger itself is not the best late game item, but it's certainly good early to mid game. The 1+ armor penetration stat is not the best, however, it does have decent damage and it has 2 rune slots, which is the main attraction of this dagger. The description of it reads that this dagger is now worthy of Olaf's firmest cheeses. So apparently Olaf is some kind of cheesemaker, which is kind of funny. Now, before we entered the basement, there was a note addressing the Honnleath Village Council. This council talks about how the Harvest Festival is coming up, and that they were hoping that a resident would help with the decorations. It's not too important for the lore, but it's kind of sad to know that during the attack of the Darkspawn, the villagers were planning for a annual festival of some sort. However, now that we've explored the top part of the village, there is one part of the village we haven't explored yet. There's a little door to the end of the thing that leads to Wilhelms Cellar. Entering here, we see that there are still stragglers of Darkspawn remaining. Perhaps there's also some survivor villagers as well. We're gonna look for these survivor villagers, hopefully to find a different activation code for the golem, or at least find some more information about it. The cellar, ironically, is actually more expansive than anywhere in the village. And there seems to be many tombs and textbooks here. Clearly someone of scholarly or a mage lived here. Clearing out the rest of the Darkspawn and investigating the area, we can head deeper down into the cellar. Around the cellar, we can discover, well, first of all, dead bodies of Darkspawn, but also a cask containing Wilhelm's special brew, which is a gift for a certain drunken dwarf that we'll meet later on in our series. However, approaching further, we see him enter a larger room with more Darkspawn than we've seen anywhere else, and a Genlock emissary, likely the one leading the horde against the attack of Honnleath. We can quickly try to snipe him out first. Again, the best strategy in this game is to kill the yellow enemies first, and then deal with the rest of the stragglers, as normal Darkspawn don't pose much threat to Grey Wardens. The yellow highlighted Darkspawn, however, do possess more. Skipping ahead after this fight, before talking with all the villagers behind the barrier, we quickly want to head up the stairwell and investigate a note. This note is titled A Decade-Old Letter. This note reads, Madam, I can assure you that the Circle of Magi is not a sacrilegious institution, and that, indeed, we operate under the supervision of the Chantry. It would make our investigation of your husband's death much easier if you would simply cooperate with us. I am disappointed to hear that you sold the Gollum's activation rod, and I understand both it and your husband were of invaluable aid to King Merrick during the war against Orlais. Without the rod, we cannot discern whether Wilhelm's Gollum was responsible for his murder. The Gollum will simply have to remain where it is unless the villagers can somehow destroy it. Again, I know this letter comes of little solace to you or your son, but we want to let you know that Wilhelm was an invaluable aid to the Ferelden Circle of Magi. Signed, First Enchanter Aaron. Well, it appears that Shale killed his former master, or at least possibly did. And again, apparently this Wilhelm was of invaluable aid during the War of Orlais, which was over 30 years ago, where Merrick and Loghain were little more than teenagers. Clearly this Gollum hasn't been activated or used in many a time, and likely this Wilhelm character will be of very little help, given his death. However, now in going over to the villagers, we can let them know that it is all safe and sound.
By the Maker, we're saved!
You weren't sent by the ban, were you? To save us?
No, I am a Grey Warden, in fact.
A Grey Warden? Here? Thank the Maker for our luck! But if you weren't sent by someone, why are you here? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm looking for whoever owns the statue.
The statue outside? Why would... Oh, I think I see. You bought the control rod, didn't you? You came here looking for Shale.
Investigating the barrier, it appears that we can now walk through it, though this likely kept the
damnable
Darkspawn at
Gollum
bay.
brought us nothing but trouble. My mother sold the rod years ago after it killed my father, and good riddance.
So you're saying the Gollum is
How should I
defective?
know? It must be. My father was its master, and it still killed him. Surely that's not normal behavior. My father's name was Wilhelm. Mage to the Isles of Redcliffe and a hero in the war against Orlais. And what did he get? One day, my mother found him outside the tower, with so many broken bones she could barely recognize him, and Shale standing over him just like it is now. My father deserved better than that. But if you really want to wake Shale up, well, it's yours now.
Interesting, so Wilhelm was a veteran of the Kalen and Merrick Orlesian revolts. What can you tell me about this place? Where are we?
This was my father's laboratory, beneath his tower. Or it was, anyhow. Look, I know you probably have more important things on your mind, but I really need your help. I know you already saved my life, and I'm grateful, but my daughter is inside the laboratory. She was afraid, and ran too far in before I could stop her. I don't know how she made it past my father's defenses. One of the men tried to go after her. He was killed, but you could find her, couldn't you?
Well, what killed this
There are
man that you
defenses
sent
my father
after?
put down here to keep strangers out. I knew about the barrier. I had the key for that, but the rest of it, well, we never came down here. Ever.
Well, I need to activate Shale.
How to activate it? We just used the control rod and the code phrase. Or did Mother give them the wrong one? I wouldn't be surprised. She said she never wanted to see Shale activated again. If so, I'll gladly tell you the proper phrase. Just save my little girl, I'm begging you.
Well, we did come here in part to save people from Darkspawn, and we do need that code. Very well, we will help you.
You will? Thank the Maker! My father's laboratory is just past the next area, I think. She has to be there.
But before we go down there, let's talk to him some more. What do you
Almost
remember
nothing.
about the cellar?
It used to be bigger, I think. Aside from that, it was just a walking statue. Father said it talked, but I never heard it. Mother tried to have it destroyed, but no luck. I think that's when she sold the rod, but no one ever came to claim it.
Well, we already knew about that. Well, can you tell me about your father at
I
all?
was so young when he died, I hardly remember. All I know is he was a fine mage and a healer. What he needed this laboratory for, or why the Circle of Magi let him be out here, I honestly have no idea. Please hurry!
Well, okay. It seems like he doesn't really know too much. So, descending down the stairs, we have a little girl to save.
Can I get you a ladder?
Apparently there are traps down here, so we're gonna have to be wary. Thankfully I'm a rogue, so I should be able to detect any traps. And we should make a quick... Hearing a scream downstairs, we go down to investigate further. But it didn't sound like a girl's scream. Could there be another person down here? Or... Oh! Immediately as we enter the large room, a few shades and an ash spawn an ash spawn, not an ash spawn, appear and attack us. However, there are no traps, and it appears that the soldier that the father sent down is in fact there. Could it be that these demons are actually the traps? It's very likely, but why would demons be down in the cellar here? As we know that the Wilhelm, the circle mage, was in good standing. Why would he be dealing with demons? If that is the case. Flanking around here, this is a little bit of a hard fight because of the ash spawn. He's a bit tankier than the normal shades. Shades also don't have any elemental weaknesses, such as rage demons or ice, so they can be a little bit difficult to dispatch. But I just kite them around a bit and finish off the ash spawn with a nice crit shot. And he is defeated. We can now investigate this room. First, taking a look at the dead bodies, we see a remarkable great stone and a harvest festival ring. This is actually one of the best rings in the game, offering +2 to strength, dexterity, and armor, and a remarkable great stone, which is a gift for a companion we will meet very soon. But looking over to the chest here, has an easy lock on it. It appears to have some crystals and some random loot. Now, saving the game, we can take a look at the journal. And we get a note, the Journal of Enchanter Wilhelm. It reads, 13 Plutanus. The interrogation of the demon is going well, and is rather fascinating, provided that what it is saying is true. I have sent all my research so far to First Enchanter Arden, and while he is concerned about my safety, he does not think there is a reason to stop just yet. All I hope is that the Templars do not discover what I am doing. How will we ever find a way to deal with demonic possession if the Chantry does not let us research it? 20 Alluviesta. Young Matthias nearly wandered down here again today, and this time I forgot to leave the berry up. I believe I will key the defenses to ignore anyone of my blood. That seems to be the defenses we saw at the beginning. I would rather have the boy stumble in the laboratory than have him killed by my forgetfulness. Poor lad. All he wants to know is why his father spent so much time beneath the tower. I will spend more time with him soon. I swear it. 28 Alluviesta. Shale is acting strangely. I wonder if I should discontinue my experiments upon it. I am so near a breakthrough, I am certain. Perhaps it is best if I focus on the demon. 2 Martinelius. The demon almost managed to get away again. Tricky. I shall have to be more careful. Young Eamon sent a letter asking me to send to Red Glyph. I shall have to consider it. Soon. 11 Martinelius. Could it be? What an intriguing discovery. Especially considering that the demon was attempting to keep me from it at all costs. Or did it lead me to that information by seeing it to deny it from me? I must discover the truth. 19. Amalia. I think it is time to dismiss this demon. It is too dangerous for me to continue holding it. I cannot discount the possibility that it is having some influence over the Gollum? Or is it my experiments? I will try to deactivate Shale from the time being, and then deal with the demon once and for all. Let it end here. So, it appears Wilhelm was experimenting with demons. and he erected this barrier to keep his family safe. He was also running some sort of experiment on Shale, the Gollum at the time, but we don't know what those are yet. Well, that explains the shades, but I wonder if there were other demons further down. It seemed like there was some head demon he was investigating. Well, without any further tarry, we better go find Amalia, quick. Investigating further down, we reach the end of a cellar, and we see Amalia talking to a cat.
Oh, look, someone's come to play. You have come to play, haven't you? We're playing a guessing game. It's better with more people.
Well, I'm glad you're safe, Amalia. Your father's very worried.
Father? Oh, you can tell him I'm fine. Maybe he'll come and stay with us, too. Anyway, you should go if you're not going to play. Kitty finds you distracting.
The cat finds me distracting? How does that work? We have to go, Amalia.
Kitty's clever. She says you want to take me back to my father, but I'm not going. She would be lonely.
Our dog senses danger from
I
the
would
cat.
not suggest leaving in such hostile company anyhow, Amalia. Look how they act.
What? That's not really a cat, is
Of course
it?
she's a cat. She just talks, that's all.
Talking is simple enough, once you know how.
So, what are you
I am
really?
a cat, really. Nothing you say will convince Amalia to go with you. She loves only me now. I am her friend, while you are just a stranger.
Well, what have you done to her?
It seems we are at an impasse, so let me propose a compromise of sorts. Release me, mortal, and let me have the girl. Let us return to her father and leave this place forever.
Well, do you really think a demon could fool her father into thinking you're her daughter? I mean, really?
Mortals often allow themselves to be blinded by hope. They see what they wish to see. If the father hopes to see his Amalia alive and unharmed, perhaps he will.
Well, now there are several options we can have here. However, the best option is to simply trick the demon and make her think that we're working with her. Passing a persuasion check, we can lie and say we will give her the girl.
Thank you. You are very gracious. The mage's wards hold me within this chamber, and only a mortal may approach them. There is a trick to disarming the wards, but I do not know it. Perhaps you will succeed where the girl failed.
Oh, this is so exciting! Kitty is going to be free! I've always wanted a cat, and Kitty is so perfect and pretty.
Now, Amalia will keep rambling to the demon. This apparently must be the demon that Wilhelm was in fact studying. In which case, this would mean the demon has been trapped in the mortal realm for, 40, maybe even more years. If it happened when Matthias was just a child, we can assume the demon has to at least been here in the 30s. The trick to this puzzle is to simply guide the flame from the one end to the other end.
Got it.
The little pointy bit on the right-hand side. The arrows direct where the flame will go. So it's a pretty straightforward trap, but apparently Amalia was not able to figure it out. Which I guess is not too surprising, because Amalia looks only like 9. Maybe she couldn't even lift the tiles. Might be a bit stuck after all these years. Now, these wards here might also be what Wilhelm was talking about. That only someone of his blood can go, but we can pass through them, so maybe they're just weakened to only humans can pass through. For whatever reason, Wilhelm made the barrier tied to this puzzle, and I guess only humans can use the puzzle. It's very weird, and we don't really know what to say about it.
Isn't that awful?
But all you have to really do is scrounge up the final arrows, and
Can I get you a ladder so
you'll
you can
eventually
get off my
get it.
back?
Feel free to stop and pause at any time if you want to copy my motions, but there's actually many ways to solve this, and many patterns you can choose. So, again, pretty straightforward. Completing the puzzle.
Yes. I can feel the magic fading. Oh, I had forgotten how it feels not to be caged.
Kitty? What's happening?
A wonderful thing, my dear, for both of us.
Now, since we used a persuasion check, We can tell her we never promised to let her live, and attack her.
Betrayal! You will not take the girl. She is mine!
Kitty, you're scaring me. I won't let you inside me. I won't.
And Kitty transforms into her true form, a desire demon. Now, this option I just showed is the only option that will allow Amalia to live. The only other options is if you attack her before solving the puzzle, the demon will possess Amalia, and you will have to be forced to kill her. The other options are you let her possess her, and Amalia is now possessed. This is the only option that's basically good, in my opinion. The other options are either working with a demon who has unknown motives for this world, or kill an innocent child, which obviously is not good either. Now this fight can actually be a little bit tricky. Kitty spawns about 4 additional rage demons to attack you, so you're actually outnumbered in this fight, and Kitty herself uses Cone of Cold, which can immobilize a few of your companions. It's best to definitely have Morrigan or a mage that has ice magic in this fight. I sadly didn't in this footage, so it's a bit more longer-winded. But eventually, if you just whittle down the rage demons first, and then focus on Kitty, and hope to God that you have a tank that can survive, you'll eventually come out of this fight. Again, I don't know what it is, but my rogue dwarf is having a hell of a time in all these fights. Maybe I didn't spec her right. That might be it. But anyway, finishing up the fight, we have killed Kitty, and now we just need to dispose of the rest of the rage demons, and we can continue on in the cellar. Now, importantly, Kitty drops the Helm of Honnleath, which adds +2 to all attributes, and is actually commonly used for the player character. It's not maybe an endgame helmet, but getting it early on can especially be very useful. It's also useful for warriors who want to equip higher strength armor that you don't have yet. Just plop on the helmet and you automatically get +2 strength. To my knowledge, it's the only helmet that gives this much of an attribute boost. It's balanced, technically, by giving all these bonuses by not having a very good armor rating, only 150, which is about a tier 2 or 3, as opposed to tiers that normally go up to 7. For whatever reason, as we ascend up, more shades spawn. We don't know why that is, but maybe they were just lingering beforehand, and now they're finally ready to come up. They're pretty simple to dispatch of. There's no boss or elite level ones, so they're all just normal shades. So just feel free to dispose them with any method you have. Me is, I use a hail of arrows. And after 2 additional shade fights, we can go to Matthias and hopefully return with Amalia all safe. Now this dialogue is the same if Amalia's possessed too.
Thank you so much.
Just a bit
I'm
creepily
sorry
different.
I ran away, Daddy. I was so scared.
It's all right, Butterfly. You're safe now. All the bad creatures are gone. The phrase to activate Shale is Doolan Han. If you still want that bloody thing. I wouldn't if I were you. Now we should go, and quickly. Thank you again. We owe you our lives.
Well, this wrapped up nicely. Apparently the phrase was only changed by 1 word, but going to the Gollum, we can now claim our reward. Doolan Har.
I knew that the day would come when someone would find the control rod. And not even a mage this time. Probably stumbled across the rod by accident, I suppose. Typical.
Well, that wasn't quite the reaction I was expecting. Well, to you too, Shale. However, you know I did not stumble on it by accident.
So it knew what it was doing. Shocking. I stood here in this spot and watched the wretched little villagers scurry around me for, oh, I have no idea how long. Many, many years.
Then one wonders that you wouldn't be grateful to the one who allowed you to stretch your legs, Gollum.
Another mage, I see. Charming.
It seems Shale can detect magic.
I was just beginning to get used to the quiet, too. Tell me, are all the villagers dead?
Well, not all of them, no. I take it that wouldn't bother you, huh?
Familiarity breeds contempt, as they say, and after 30 years as a captive audience, I was as familiar with these villagers as one could possibly be. Not that I wish their fate on them, no. But it did make for a delightful change of pace.
Well, did you see the attack?
I would think there was running and screaming, and then days and days of watching the Darkspawn prowl around. I would never have thought there could be something less interesting than the villagers, but there it was. Well, go on then. Out with it. What is its command?
Hold on, Shale. There's something I want to clean up. Did you kill your former master?
I honestly don't remember. Perhaps it was after yet another time he called me Gollum. Gollum, fetch me that chair. Do be a good Gollum and squash that insipid bandit. And let's not forget, Gollum, pick me up. I tire of walking. It does have the control rod, doesn't it? I am awake, so it must.
Well, I do. And it's right in my hand. Is there something wrong, Shale?
I see the control rod, yet I feel... Go on, order me to do something.
Now, we get options depending on our companions, but I don't really have that, so I'll just tell him to walk over there.
And, nothing. I feel nothing. I feel no compulsion to carry out its command. I suppose this means the rod is... broken?
Well, is that a good thing?
I suppose if I can't be commanded, this means I have free will, yes? It is simply, what should I do? I have no memories beyond watching this village for so long. I have no purpose. I find myself at a bit of a loss. What about it? It must have awoken me for some reason, no? What did it intend to do with me?
Well, I couldn't think of much use for a golem, other than, you know, the war that I'm fighting right now. For some reason, we don't get that option.
Ah, how unexpected. Yet refreshing. I suppose I have two options, do I not? Go with it or go elsewhere? I do not even know what lies beyond this village.
Well, we still don't know. Are you sure you didn't kill your former master? It's odd you don't remember that.
Did I? I remember that I had a former master. The mage with the furry brows who poked and prodded and barked orders. Did I kill him? I hope I did kill him. Perhaps the last order he barked was, Gollum, stop crushing my head. Ah!
Now, it's weird that this is the only reference he actually confirms that he might have killed his master. But I also noticed that you don't call your master it.
Yes, I'm just funny that way.
Well, okay. Are you going to keep calling me it?
Yes, very likely.
Well, she's very straightforward. Well, what do you want to do?
I watched this village for so long, unable to move or act. My memories of anything before are vague at best. So I have no idea what I want to do. I'm glad to be mobile. Is that not enough?
Well, fair enough. You are welcome to come with me, then.
I will follow it about, then. For now. I am called Shale, by the way.
Well, I think we can all appreciate a good pun. So, it's a pleasure to meet you.
This should be interesting.
And with that, Shale joins our party, and we complete
Yes.
the quest, the Gollum of Honnleath. And we now have a Gollum companion, who will be a worthy addition, and we will investigate further on. But however, exiting the town, there is one final scene we can see, and is imperative of Shale's character. walking casually back to our camp to rest after a long, hard fight. Shale notices something on the ground. And promptly smashes a chicken and is covered in blood. Yeah, Shale really does not like pigeons. Now, this quest leaves us with a really big question. Who the hell killed Wilhelm? The most likely culprit was Shale. Wilhelm's family certainly believed that Shale killed him. But Shale has no memory of it, despite having great memory of all of his other experiences with Wilhelm. Now, Wilhelm was doing experiments, and Shale does attest that these experiments might have had something to do with it, though there's an interesting codex that we can't leave out. However, we can still press Shale further about this question to see if we can find anything else.
Did I not already tell it that I do not remember doing such? I remember having a master. My memories of what happened to him are vague. My former master enjoyed experimenting upon me. I remember that much. There was tinkering with spells, and then the crystals. He was very eager to alter my function. He possessed my control rod, and back then, it would have prevented me from doing anything he did not command me to, no matter how I might have wished to. So what happened? I am unsure. He was experimenting, and then nothing. But who knows? I may have such a thing. And then he was gone. I was standing where I was, in the village, and I could no longer move. The villagers came, poked and prodded me in fear, and then realized they could neither move me nor destroy me. So they simply left me. And in time, I forgot I hadn't stood there all along.
Now, Shale still seems hesitant to accept that he killed his master, which is weird, because Shale doesn't have any guilt over killing things. He seems like a pretty non-empathetical person, very straightforward, and seems like he held his master with such disdain that it's not like he's lying to us. Shale wouldn't lie about something like this. If he killed his master, he'd probably brag about it. Now, there's an interesting codex that I mentioned earlier that we can't seem to ignore. The codex on Wilhelm's journal stated that the demon had some kind of effect on Shale, and this was one of his last entries before the journal ended. The ending of this journal likely signaled Wilhelm's death, which means, is it possible Kitty killed Wilhelm and framed Shale for it? Perhaps Kitty possessed Shale with her meager influence on the outside world over the barrier and killed Wilhelm, hoping that that would dispel the barrier. However, it didn't. Wilhelm's magic must have been tied to the room, and Kitty was still trapped there. Ironically, Wilhelm seemed like he was going to dismiss Kitty soon, after just a few more experiments. But since Kitty killed Wilhelm, Kitty was trapped there forever. Now, it is possible that Wilhelm's experiments ended up activating something with Shale and killing him, but even later on, when we find out through Carradine, who created Shale, even he's not too certain that this is what happened. My personal theory is, I think Kitty wanted to kill Wilhelm, and she was influencing the demon to do so. Now, it could be possible the experiments did this, but my bet is on Kitty. Thank you all so very much for watching. This is part 1 of 3 of videos I'm doing on the Stone Prisoner DLC. Part 1 was about the history of Honnleath and acquiring Shale. Part 2 will be about Shale's origin and his influence on Orzammar. And part 3 will be a character analysis on Shale, as well as a build analysis on Shale, since he's one of the most versatile companions in all of Dragon Age. Hope to see you all there.